Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Races Driving League. We are in China today for the Chinese Grand Prix, round number 5. It should be an absolutely fantastic race. The game is not on my screen. That's already a concern. Not a good start. Bear with me for just a moment, and I'll have that sorted for you now. There we go. Excellent. Right. Minor blunder to kick the stream off, but I am joined once again for the first time this season by Season 11 champion and Haas driver, Touchy Pope. Pope, welcome back to Commentary Box. Good to see you again.
Yeah, it's been a while, obviously, interview last week, but, I mean, actually commentating a lap, it was a season ago, it was last season. So, yeah, no, I'm excited to be back here, and China, obviously, a crazy circuit, Tilke design, so a lot to talk through on the lap.
Should be a very entertaining affair indeed, as it always is on Circuit List. And I'm being told, you told me we've got potential rain coming in this session, over the course of qualifying this afternoon.
On qualifying and potentially in the race as well, so
Ooh.
these drivers and myself are going to have to be very well prepared for that. Obviously setups do get modified when the weather hits, but it'll be very interesting. Obviously there is 2 definite setup choices for this weekend: the low downforce, well, what would be considered a medium downforce, and then a high downforce, which obviously going to see benefits in the qualifying session. However, in the race you're probably going to be quite slow on the back straight in particular, so interested to see, and you'll probably see that in qualifying, the decisions on which strategy to go with. However, will be interesting to see which teams pick them.
Of course, looking into the Drivers' Championship, of course, you sit in 5th place, currently 49 back from points leader Grumio. Of course, still quite a way to go in the season, but it's a very good start for you, Imri, over at Haas.
It's been alright, yeah. I mean, obviously, I think there's times where, I mean, I've obviously DNF 2 races already, which is, I think, matched my total to last season, which isn't great, but just finding the footing in the Haas, and it seems like we've turned a bit of a page, and we're looking rather competitive most weekends now, and obviously the V-Carbs haven't performed, I think, as well as expected, obviously, apart from Grumio, who is leading the championship. So it'll be interesting to see if we can kind of benefit off that and really take the challenge to Ferrari. That's the big competitor now.
Of course, a lack of RBs in the race tonight. It's big opportunities for both yourselves and Ferrari. But first, though, we have got a first line lap at Shanghai for you to take us around. So without further ado, Pope, take it away.
Lovely stuff. So heading towards turn 1, 2 and 3 and 4. We'll count them all together. A lovely little section here, absolutely flowing. You want to fling the car in as much as possible. You're hoping the car just sticks at this point, as you just let the car settle, go around. Second gear I like to do it in. You'll see a lot of different drivers taking different lines. That's the absolute beauty of this circuit. Going through turn 4 here, And then turn 5, you don't really feel turn 5 in these modern F1 cars. But that's the end of Sector 1. Turn 6, a lovely little hairpin as I purple Sector 1, but I don't believe that at all. As we head towards a very, very tough section now, as you fling the car through. Turn 7, 8, 9, and I believe 10 all come at you so quick. You don't want to brake at all through there. You just want to use the engine braking of the car to set you through. There's no traction through turn 10 there, and that's the end of Sector 2. This track does come at you quite quickly. There's a lot going on, so you have to be really wary. I used to always call this the dinosaur head. Why? No idea. On the track maps it looks like a bit of a stegosaurus. So going through there is starting Sector 3. That's turn 11, 12 and 13 onto the most iconic straight, I would say, probably in F1, maybe apart from Baku or the back straight at the Camel Straight at Spa. But it is so iconic. See some great moves down into the hairpin of turn 14 and 15. Once again, you don't really feel. 16 corners a bit the Shanghai International Circuit, heading through here. It's not been a bad lap at all. We're going to put us into P4.
Give you to talk through it. Not too bad a lap at all, Pope. So good stuff there. Oh, but so far, the Ferrari's the one to top the board. Dan fastest, 1 minute 31.2, and Che just 200ths behind him in second. Imri in third, 1:31.3, so that bodes well for both Haas cars. Yogaloo's taking his time now. He goes into 5th place, just a 10th off of you. So all in all, the field looks quite tight in these opening few laps.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously the great thing about this season so far, is it has been so close. I mean, I'm not too sure if you've seen the time trials, but the time trials are so close. Obviously, it's only that's only for hot laps, but it is looking absolutely ridiculous. And as we may mention, we saw it quite dramatically, I think, last week at Japan. That DRS is going to be so crucial.
And you guys would agree, of course, we saw quite a fair bit of that over the course of the full 53 laps. We ran the full Grand Prix distance last week. How was that for you guys over at Haas? I know you guys end up with a decent result in the end.
Yeah, 3 and 4 is obviously really good, I think, for us. Happy with it. And yeah, no, we're going into it very positive, and I think we're finally going into each weekend now with a bit more positive mindset, which is obviously really nice for us because we need it. If we're going to fight for this Constructors' Championship, we have to go in every single race positive, and I feel like we've finally understood how the Haas is different to the Mercedes.
Well, obviously, like I said earlier, the lack of both RBs, both Grimmy and Lando, out for this race, at least in terms of this first qualifying session. So even if we do catch them, we're starting from the back. But of course, there's a big opportunity for you guys to close the gap on RB and perhaps move into second place.
That is the plan. I'm not actually too sure what the gap is right now, but I don't think it's dramatically far away. I'd have to double check on that. I've not really paid too much attention to the standings, as we are only 5 races into the season right now. So it's not really the end of the world to not be in the place where you want to be. But yeah, we can overtake him today. So that's gonna be the goal.
Speaking of overtaking, Webb's just done your time. He's into P4. So I mean, the 2 Williams cars are running quite highly right now. Webb's P4 and a new reserve in EJ27 in the chat today. Are we aware of who that is?
Yeah, I believe it's Che's cousin from what I've heard. Obviously, you might have seen Che race under that name. It's all a bit changed now. So Che is Che, don't worry about that. And then we have a new driver on the grid for today, EJ27.
Looking forward to seeing what he can do in that Williams, of course, replacing Cott for this evening's race. Red J in P9 right now, Curtis in P10 on the medium tyre for this first run. So I assume we'll probably see him onto the softs later on. The top 3 have all retired from the session at this point. So I'm not sure if you're going to join them, Pope, or if you're going to go for another lap or so. I'll see not sure the plans for you guys there.
Not sure myself right now. Obviously, with the looming weather, with only 16 drivers, we probably should be okay to not have to set another lap. But right now, I'm not willing to risk it, especially when we haven't mentioned it, but we still have PJ Khaled on the grid, and we know what he's like around China.
Indeed, we do. Last season's pole sitter at this circuit. He drove the Williams to the top last season in terms of the timesheets. Managed to come home with a P4 finish in the race, if memory serves me correctly. He was definitely in the top 5, I want to say that. He was up with that lead pack, that the entire race was strong all the way around, so looking forward to seeing what he can do. Perhaps he can go back to back and perhaps put one of those Saubers on the front row. You never know.
The confidence has been really good. I think Sauber, I believe, got a decent result. I think both in the points last week. which is obviously very good for them. So I think they've got a bit of momentum now behind them, especially with Ethan just scoring some points. But yeah, we know what PJ's like around the Shanghai International Circuit, so I'm going to be very, very interested to see if he can pull off another wicked pole position.
Of course, PJ here very nearly having pole a couple of seasons ago, one of the last few times we went to Shanghai prior to F124, and that was in what was the Alfa Romeo at the time, what was obviously now the Sauber, so he's returned to the Swiss team for this season, so I'm sure they're very happy to have him back. I think he was alongside Ethan for that one as well. I could be wrong on that, but obviously those two have always been a very enjoyable line to watch. And they've stayed together for quite a fair few seasons now.
Yeah, we're getting to a point now where I think some drivers are kind of settling down. I mean, me and Imri are on to our second season together. Obviously, Landlord and Blaze have been... Sorry, Landlord and Grumio have been together for quite a while. But then obviously we still have the new ones of, let's say, Reggie and Obsessed, who are doing all right for the Mercedes. I think they're finding their feet a little bit. The pace has been shown really well as fantastic time, and I've just said that. 32.8 for Obsessed Gamer there in the Mercedes. So really settling down now.
Always good to see, though. I mean, in terms of obviously team combinations have been there together for a while, would you say that's crucial, succeeding in a league such as this, because of how competitive it is?
It's hard to say. I think some drivers work really well with the same person. I look at Paris and BJ in particular, and BJ and Fan. I think those two teams were fantastic. But I remember my Constructors Championship came with a driver that I believed I teamed with for one season in Tinky Winky 77. So yeah, it's not that thing. It's not that thing, and there it is. By oh my lord, that's
by 1,000th. PJ's in the house. Look at that.
Wow, it's going to be close, isn't it? That is... It's going to be a very, very, very close grid.
See, why can't we ever do that all the time?
I mean, it can be sometimes, but it's in the race where everything kind of spreads a little bit. I mean, in qualifying, the past few seasons, it's been so close at the top.
I think ever since Grumio went season 14, had 19 poles in 24, we always reference that. But I think since then, qualifying's been a lot more competitive. I think Grumio still had the lion's share there over the last few seasons, but in terms of recent times, he's been challenged by drivers such as Imri, such as Cott, obviously on his day can be coming quick. I'm not sure who else really nabbed pole. Che nabs it on occasion. Obviously, we've seen you take it once or twice in the past. So anyone.
I mean, yeah, I think I took 3 last season. 3 last season?
I want to say
not too sure. I know I got one in Silverstone, which was my best pole position. That was one of my best qualifyings. Probably ever, I would have to say. But anyway, enough about blowing up steam up me as per usual. We've got some incredible drivers on the circuit, and the ones I'm looking at here are the people that haven't set a lap yet. The 2 Red Bulls.
Both Red Bulls. Courtney Goblin out on the circuit, 1:33.3, the slowest time so far by just under 2/10. I saw Ethan getting quite a nice toe for PJ down the back straight, and it worked to a T there. So those two did that to each other. They took turns. Go up one lap. PJ was getting a toe off Ethan, and another lap vice versa. And it's paid off for them. PJ P2, Ethan P5.
I mean, this is what we've been saying about teammates. Some people work fantastically as a team, and those two really do work well. They understand each other. They've raced with each other for a while, but these drivers have left it quite late. I think rain could be imminent, to be honest, onto the circuit. So if it doesn't hit at the end of Q1, watch a mad rush for Q2, I will have to say.
We'll keep an eye on 10th Cannon here. We'll see if the rain starts to hit the camera on her Red Bull. She charged into turn 1. The last car yet to set a lap time on the board. Only 5 minutes to go, so plenty of time to get another lap in should it choose not to rain. But I imagine if it doesn't start to rain now, we'll probably get a bit of a shower to kick off Q2. And of course, the last time that happened was back in Brazil last season. Of course, there was a mad dash to get out of the pit lane at the start of Q2. I think you guys took advantage of that, didn't you? You and Imri of Mercedes.
Yeah, me and Imri were out of the blocks very quickly, especially on the complete other side of the pit lane which you want to be on. I mean, obviously, with us being a Haas now, we do get a huge advantage of if there is weather like this and we can get out quickly. So I think we'll be in a very good position, but I don't know, it's getting towards very late in the session. It's going to be very interesting going into Q2.
10th Cannon into the final sector, 52.027, her second split. We'll see what she has up her sleeve as she charges into turn number 13. One of the most unique corners, and indeed, do you know what? When you said Dinosaur Head, I did sort of look at it and I thought, do you know what, you might be right, but honestly, I think the whole thing almost looks like a dinosaur sitting down. If you look at the track map from a certain angle, like the angle we've got here on the screen here, just in the bottom right, it does sort of look like some sort of
It does a
dinosaur
bit, yeah.
holding its arms
Yeah,
out and sitting down, where it's like almost doing yoga.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's a weird one. It's the one thing that I've always done when I was younger. But 10th Cannon coming across the line now. Let's see where she's going to set her lap. P11, fantastic there for 10th. Obviously, pretty much guaranteed to get through now into Q2. Sitting P6 in the championship. 2 tenths off myself. 2 seconds off. 2 points. Oh my lord, I've gone through every single one that isn't points. 2 points off myself in P5. So I've got to keep my eyes on 10th and make sure that she doesn't get any more points on me.
I've got someone in my chat here saying Pope over Brundle. So clearly you're doing something right, Pope.
Who said that?
That would be it's quite small on my screen here. If I bring it up a second, bear with me a minute. That would be it's zoomed out. Give me a second and I'll be able
It's
to...
okay. I'll carry on going.
Shout
I'm going
out
to
to
retire as well.
Divine Stag. Who
Brilliant. So,
puts
yeah,
you over
Divine
Brundle.
Stag obviously used to racing RDL.
I see.
And a very good personal friend of mine.
Was this before my time, perchance?
Before your time, yeah.
Okay, right.
I actually believe it was the season that you started. Oh, it's 10th. Loses it in turn 12, 13 area. But we're seeing the last drivers, the drivers who typically you do see trying to fight for Q2. Only one's going out in Q1 this time. So who is it going to be? It's gonna be really close. Really close.
Close indeed. Red J needs to get his skates on. I mean, whether we need to see Courtney Goblin out at least the next minute or so to get going have time to have his outlap. 10th Cannon making her way back to the pit lane. P11 Perg right now. Looks set for Q2 at this event. EJ's going out on the racetrack. Of course, he's just over a 10th up on the knockout place, but of course he needs to just product was solidify his place in session 2. But will Courtney Goblin come back out? He's got about 30 seconds or so at this point to get back out onto the racetrack so he'll have a chance of making it round for another lap in time. Sorry to skip that.
There's actually been... Yeah, I do believe Courtney is on the way out. Yes, is on the way out.
See him moving.
And yeah, it did get blocked in though by 10th actually, as 10th entered the pits. So that might have squandered getting another lap in for Courtney. We'll have to wait and see. We know Courtney leaves it quite late getting a lap in. So, I don't think he's got enough time personally.
It's going to be close. He sets a 1:33 round this place. 1:33 has just hit the mark. He's got to get his skates on here. Right, and I mean really get his skates on if you want to see him run that last lap. And that could mean that EJ and Red J are both safe, as it stands. But EJ's got...
It could do, but... Sorry, yeah, no, I was going to quickly make mention that Curtis has retired in P13.
Oh.
I know that this track does evolve quite quickly towards the end of the session. We saw that dramatically last season. I appreciate the conditions are slightly different. However, I'm not too sure. If Courtney gets round on that lap, it's going to be very close with Curtis.
In the event that all three of them improve past the 32.815, that will knock Curtis out of qualifying. EJ's coming in, so at the very least, so Curtis can't get knocked out.
It's
Curtis
fine.
is
And Red J is also invalidated as well.
Oh,
so Red J
over the
oh, okay. I'm not too sure if Red J. Oh, and there's rain, and there's rain. There it is. At the time, I don't know if Red J knows that he cannot cut the corners during a qualifying session. It is frowned upon as he turns into a lawnmower. We'll go off that. But Courtney is going to make it. He has used so much ERS though on that first lap to make sure he gets round in time. So any improvement's going to be a big improvement. Will we see Courtney Goblin in Q2? Zach, do you want to take us on a lap?
By all means. He only needs about half a tenth to even get himself into Q2. Here we go then. The final lap of Q1 for Courtney Goblin at Red Bull. Down in towards that first corner. I say down, up into the first corner rather. Elevation change crucial here in Shanghai. And back down the hill for turn 2 and 3. Hopefully for Courtney that wet weather won't affect him too much because it has only just started. But what bad timing should it impact his luck now? We'll get a sense of it when he comes to the end of the first sector here to complete his first split. He's a 10th and a half up. That's more than enough of what he needs. And that will knock Red J out as it stands. Be the one driver out in Q2. But of course, I mean, Red J didn't make it to the line. So he is fully at the mercy of what happens to Courtney here on this final lap. Going now down towards the right-hander of turn 8. Keeping it nice under control. The wet weather not messing with things too much. But of course, we'll see in terms of the second sector where about to emerge. Of course, if he invalidates, then that'll make Red J safe regardless. 2/10 for Courtney Goblin. That's all he needs right now. He's got to maintain this pace all the way back around again and just hope that it's enough in this last part of the circuit to get him into Q2 and put both Red Bulls in and knock that one silver arrow out. Down towards turn 14 for the last time in this session. DRS is in deploy as he charges towards that tight right hand, one of the tightest on the circuit, if not the tightest, compared to the opening 4 corners. Into the braking zone here. He's heard him lock up a little bit there, heard the rear tyres really squealing. And into the last corner now towards turn 16. Has he got enough? Into this last corner, we'll see if he can get himself into Q2 towards the line. He's done it, P14, and unlock Red J out, and EJ will narrowly squeeze through to his first Q2 session on RDL.
That was very impressive there by Courtney. The rain starting to just pick up a little bit towards the end of that session, and that is a great lap. And unfortunate for Red J, it always is unfortunate when you only have one driver knocked out in Q1. However, you've got to be on the track at the right time and make sure you don't make any mistakes, and unfortunately Red J wasn't able to capitalise on that, but there's obviously all the points are in the race.
So Dan tops the session, then from PJ second and Che in third. Pope will let you jump away to do whatever you need to do for Q2, but thank you for joining us once again, and hopefully we'll see you back here perhaps after the race.
It was my pleasure, thank you very much.
So we go down in time for Q2. We're cleared down from 16 to 15 cars, and the rain is still just about starting to fall down. So there could be a mad rush here at the start, the exit of the pit lane, going into start the session, because it'll be the last real chance to get onto a set of soft tyres and crank out a lap. And we've already got a car coming back out onto the circuit. It is one of the Haas cars. It's Imri, first one out. And of course, as Pope said, the advantage you get from being the last cars in the pit lane is means you're close to the pit exit, and Pope is the second car out, followed by Ethan and then Yogalu reserving in the Aston Martin tonight. But the two Haas cars off like shots here and making early moves out to the racetrack, and they will deal with the rain the least. They'll be the first one to try and tread these waters. Of course, Courtney will be no stranger to the wet weather, having just about secured his place in Q2, only just on that last run. So keep an eye on Imri here. So making his way down towards the left-hander of turn 10 and see just what he's got to navigate over the course of the next lap or so. This one maybe a session that gets brought to an end very quickly if the rain gets any heavier, as obviously drivers will start to retire from the session knowing that they can't improve in the conditions. Imri warming these tyres up, getting them up to temperature in the slightly colder, wet conditions. And there is his teammate emerging from the exit at turn 13. See Ethan there behind him. Both the Saubers are together, so it could be seeing them play the same sort of games they did in Q1. They've gotten to P2 and P5. P2 for PJ, P5 for Ethan, and last season's pole setter looking to try and go back to back. Everyone on the circuit ran out except for Courtney Goblin, who stayed in the pit lane, and that could be perhaps, I don't want to say it, but a poor choice from Courtney, given if the rain gets heavier. If it dries out, then by all means he's able to come out and set a decent lap time. But of course he'll be doing it on a relatively wet circuit. Imri through the first 4 corners, nice and smooth here. Out turn 4 and towards the little right-hander of turn 5. It's still his first sector, looks like here. So 24.2 compared to Pope in behind. Pope will be setting 24.24. So up by a half a tenth over his teammate. PJ 24.425. So that's about close to Pope's time. Yogalu in that Aston Martin, the lone Aston Martin in the race. That means that team cannot score points. Only 4 from the championship this season after the opening 4 rounds. Of course, Ferrari leading the way in the constructors' standings by 24 over RB. Then it's Haas in 3rd, Alpine 4th, and Williams rounding out your top 5 in the championship. So it's getting a bit of a slide there. Of course, this is where things get slightly tougher. These first runs, you've sort of got to nail them because you never know if we actually get another lap in. Imrie 52.1 in the second sector, in towards the last 3 corners on the circuit, through turn number 15 and towards 16. The left-hander, nice and smooth, keeps it valid. And over the line, 132.7, not too far down on the previous time. He's setting in Q1. Can Pope improve on that? He can't. 133.006. PJ behind 33.3, and those are good laps from the Haas boys, getting them a few tenths in front of everyone else. And down into P3. Where is Che? I think Che may have been validated, and that could be costly. But as he goes way wider off his line at turn 1. 9 cars through, but already set their times. Next car through will be the Williams VJ. Into turn 16 off the corner, keeping it under control, nice and tidy. Got 134 on the ball, 134.6. JB in behind for Alpine. Puts into P8 just in front of his teammate, and Ben goes P8 and dispatching JB for that position. Obsessed towards the line, what can he do? P11 for him. 24.3 in the first sector, so perhaps no real concern for Che so far. Of course, that first lap did have him under a bit of pressure, but I think Dan is set to give him a tow here towards turn 14. He's still getting a good slipstream. 52.3, the second sector for the man second in the championship. 13 points off Grumio, who's not here for tonight's race. Neither RB car is here, so neither Grumio nor Landlord. That leaves the gap wide open for perhaps a new winner this season. Only 2 different winners this season, Che and Grumio, who sit as first and second in the standings. There goes Dan, moving over to let his teammate through. And we saw this in qualifying in the first session for PJ and Ethan, who are now P4 and P7. What effect could that have? Dan set a 133.2. Did it do the same thing there in terms of the tow? Che towards the line here. 133.0. That's up by just under 2 tenths off from his teammate. And only 12,000 only 12,000 from Pope. But it's Imrie on top, the only car in the 132s. So everyone bringing it into the pit lane now. Courtney Goblin still not leaving the pits. I'll do it for first runs, and not too bad a first run at all there. So state of play, that will leave one driver gets set lap, and of course the bottom 5 right now: Curtis, Obsessed, 10th Cannon, EJ, and Courtney Goblin. So those guys who want to try and go back out again to get a chance. Che is still on the racetrack here. And I think the rain is starting to get a little bit heavier here, so I doubt we'll see anyone else back out on the circuit. And I wonder if that will really be all anyone's got for Q2. Curtis going past Che there. P11 for the Alpine driver so far. Just looking for that little bit of improvement if he can. Can't do it though. Backing off, and that will most likely bring his first run to a close. Well, a fairly chaotic start to the first part of the session. Both Salvos making their back on the circuit. The track considerably more damp than it was last time round, so whether this is actually a good move is perhaps another question. Che coming in now. Then retiring. First car to retire. Che out, Dan out, Imrie out. Of course, Ben has a bit more risk. 10th Cannon is bolting on intermediate. EJ's going back on the racetrack. This is in P14 right now, so the situation's a bit more dire for the Williams driver. But 10th looking at Inters. What's the plan there in the Red Bull garage? And will Courtney Goblin try and do the same? Oh, 10th Cannon retiring, so that'll be the first car out of qualifying. A 1:34.2 for 10th. Of course, they drove placed 6th in the championship right now, just 2 points off of Pope, but only 1 point in front of PJ. She could be looking nervously over her shoulder at the driver who currently sits in 5th place in the standings in terms of this qualifying session. But it's back out there on soft tyres. What is the plan over at Sauber? What are they thinking of doing here? Yellow flag. That is the Alpine of Curtis. No, probably the Alpine of JB. Lets the Williams go. His teammate can move behind him. Obsessed Gamer emerging back on the racetrack. So people still trying on those soft tyres to get another lap in. Can they do it? That's the question. EJ's coming through to start his next lap now. We'll see what he's got lined up. In towards that first corner. I can see how tough that turn 1 is to nail in these conditions on those tyres. The rain looks to get a bit heavier now. Yogolu retiring. Of course, only one driver from that bottom 5 has thrown the towel here. That driver being 10th. JB retiring. Of course, he's on the bubble, so if anyone improves now, then he is out of qualifying. His teammate Curtis is eerily close. But I'm thinking that most likely should be safe in Q3. Now, in terms of rain in Q3, I imagine the rain will continue on into that session. It's going to be very close in terms of Q3. Let's see who's got the pace in the wet weather. We know he's got the pace in the dry, but in terms of in the wet... Oh, there goes Curtis around. PJ retiring. Curtis spinning out, going through turn number 7. Just going to show the cars aren't exactly boats in this case. Ideal weather for ducks, but perhaps not for Formula 1 cars. Pope retiring there, so 2 Haas cars running 1-2 here. Yellow flag in that final sector. That's EJ slow in the last couple of corners. Obsessed Gamer starting his next lap. And down by half a second. I think just sort of emphasising the fact that the pace will drop off considerably. And I don't think a time will already be one to be set in the late parts of this session. We've only got a few minutes to go. Only 4 minutes to spare in this session. Curtis down by 13 seconds. Almost 14. So I imagine we'll probably see him out of qualifying here. That'll make his teammate a bit safer. Curtis putting it in. I imagine that'll be his qualifying over. Obsessed 7/10 down, almost 8. The only car out on the racetrack. I think most likely this will be it for him. It was worth the effort. Curtis calling it a quick succession. That's 2 drivers out of Q2. So it's coming in, and now most likely do it. You can say they got these up and also out of qualifying, of course. Didn't go in that first run when everyone else did. Oh, you're kidding me. Connie Goblin emerging from the pit lane to go for a lap in Q2. And we'll see just what he's got up his sleeve here, because he is sat there. It worked in the last session, but I'm not sure why it'll work in this one. the only car out still on the racetrack. Obsessed Gamer likely out of qualifying. Easy, I think, also out. But Cotney, I can't see him setting a 1:33.9 in these conditions on soft tyres. I mean, I'd be happy for him to go out there and shut me up in about a minute or so, but I just can't see it happening. So we'll see what he's got lined up, potentially try and get himself into Q3. No one else on the circuit, so this is the one lap once again. Cotney Goblin has the whole thing to himself. Obsessed Gamer retiring, he is out. He's got nothing to lose, is Cotney Goblin. At the very least, he'll get time on the board, and at most, he can put himself perhaps higher up in the bottom 5. So here we go then. We'll see what sort of time he's got up his sleeve. Here we go. The final lap of Q2, once again for Cotney Goblin. Could he do the impossible and get himself into Q3? Look at the rain falling here. No real spray being kicked up. We're expecting 24s in the first sector. Here, 25 for him here. 25-4 for Cotney Goblin at the end of the first sector. Turn 7 now, keeping it under control. Webbsy retiring. 10 seconds left in the session. The second flying back full end of the session for Ethan and EJ. Both of them yet to retire. Imrie will top this one with 132.793. I'm thinking we'll be way off here. 54.9 second sector for Cotney Goblin. Towards the last 2 corners now on the circuit. He's out of turn 13, and now we've got 3 more to come. I'm thinking chances are he's going to hit a 133 where he actually reaches the final corner. And there we go. So the attempt was there, but Cotney Goblin will take P16. Sorry, P15, sorry. In this one, Imrie will top Q2, and going into Q3, your top 10. Imrie makes it alongside Pope. Che rounds out your top 3. Then it's Dan, PJ, Webbsy, Yogalu, Ethan, Ben, and JB. So those are your 10 who will fight for pole position in the final part of qualifying. Coming up next. So the rain continues to pelt the sodden Shanghai circuit as we begin at the last 12 minutes of qualifying to decide who will nab pole position for round 5 of the championship, the Chinese Grand Prix. In terms of teams that got their cars into Q3, both Haas, Sauber and Ferrari all got their cars into the last part of the session. 1 Williams, 1 McLaren, 1 Aston Martin and 1 Alpine. That'll be JB. So everyone's coming out here to start their Q3 laps, and we're looking at soft tyre runs. Pope, the first car out of the racetrack. Imrie, the third car out. Yogalu is joining Pope on the circuit already. He's already up in turn 2. He's invalidated that lap already. And perhaps, are the soft tyres the best shout for this first run? Softs first, inters later perhaps? You get time for about 2 runs in Q3. Lionel has joined us late on. So Lionel will run this race tonight for RB. He'll be starting from P17 because we've seen him run from the back before. We saw it last season at Zandvoort in particular. He came through to win. So RB may still score some points today, but of course the absence of Grumio, the championship leader, means we'll see a big opportunity for drivers to close in. A top 5 finish will be enough for... a top 3 finish will only be enough for Che to have the championship lead. He's the only one who realistically can. Dan in third has got a chance, but only if Che doesn't score and Dan wins the race. That's the only way Dan can emerge from today's championship leader. But all 10 cars out on the racetrack. No stragglers left behind in the pits, and Pope will lead them round. They'll start their first runs and what could likely be the last laps on soft tyres in this session. You see him sliding it there, trying to get a bit more heat into those tyres. Into the last corner. And off he goes now towards turn 1. The final lap, though, the final laps perhaps on softs. Perhaps even the last runs of qualifying taking place now. Pope into turn 1, he leads the train. Yogolu, then Imri. There's Daniel Aaron. Then PJ, then Che. Ethan coming through, of course. PJ, last season's pole sitter. Not in these conditions. On these tyres, but not in these conditions. Could be trouble. Turns the first sector, Pope at 25.3. Yeah, we're also 25.3. The Haas cars are the ones to watch, I think. Couldn't see Che's or Dan's first sectors, which is annoying. We'll push on to see what they get in the second split. Dan, of course, still hunting his first RDL victory. Could it be tonight? You never know. Looks like led the championship for the first time in his career after 2 rounds. 55.2 for Dan. Can't see Che. Che up with the slide there, but keeping it under control. DRS in play. Here comes Pope in towards turn 14. Keeping it within the confines of the racetrack. Sliding a little bit off corner exit, but going towards that last left-hander. We'll see what he's got in the bag here. Off of turn 16 and charging back towards the line to complete the first lap of the session. Pope 137.8. Here comes Yogolu in behind. 139.1. Imri tops it. 137.4. Dan goes P3. Che goes P1. 137.40. Ethan charging in 139.4. Not fantastic laps for Sauber. Sort of best of the rest right now. Oh, we've got a car from the gravel. That's Pope off on the gravel. P3 for the season 11 champion. I think Imri and Yogolu both pulled over for a second there. Bumped into P6. JB, the last car, set a lap time here. And these could be the lap times potentially if the rain gets heavier. So you never know. This could be the end of qualifying. Last quarter for JB. .138.3. That puts the Alpine driver into P6. So not too bad a lap. It's Che on top then. Obviously he can take the championship lead with a victory. I'll have to wait and see if he can do it. And we'll move back into the pit lane here. Bringing an end to the first round of the session. Oh, Che going way wide there. Almost running into the barrier. The ball at the pit lane entry. Very close. So Ferrari obviously now in. Ferrari still topping the constructors. For those of you who have not seen it, have not heard of the standings in recent weeks, they lead by 24 over RB. Landon has a chance now to perhaps try and nab some of those points back, but he's doing it from quite a way back in the order. And everyone making their way in. Grumio joining now. Oh, here we go. Hello. So they've both arrived. Well, well. RB with a turn up for the books. Grumio and Lando will start from the back of the field. But they are now here. Intermediate tyres going on for 2 of the cars, 3 cars. I think we're looking at a second run here on the circuit in the last 5 minutes of the session. And we are looking at it. Yes, indeed. There goes Dan. Dan, and I believe that is PJ. Yes, PJ, the first one to emerge on the new tyres. So we get one last run. And of course, everyone now aware of the presence of the RB drivers back in the field. And do they plan just to show up as and when they like and nab top point places? We'll have to wait and see. It should be a very interesting charge through the field for those guys. But we've still got a qualifying session to end off on. Imrie on the soft tyres. He's taking his chances there. He's in P2 right now. I imagine his soft tyre lap will still be faster than the intermediate tyre laps, but you never know. That could change. That's the great thing about it being about 6 months or so since we last came to the circuit on this game. So by this point, the game has changed a fair bit, and all of a sudden, it's a completely different racetrack. 3.5 minutes to go, and the final lap's about to get underway. PJ P5 for now. Who'll be the first car to come through? No ERS being used at this stage, keeping it in number of minutes, saving some up. In these opening few corners, of course, the ERS management always crucial at circuits such as this. Out of turn 4. And we'll see what the splits look like by comparison. Up by 1,000. It's going to be tight between them. Dan not improving. Dan down a bit. Imrie down by 2/10. I think it's safe to say he won't be improving on this lap. Pope's on the inters. We'll see what he can do. He's P3 right now, but 4/10 off of pole. Turn 7. Yellow flag. That's Imrie, who's off the circuit. Spun off and lost a good chunk of front wing. Look at that. I think it's safe to say qualifying over for the Haas driver, P4 in the standings. Any chance he had of overhauling Chafe pole position is now gone. It'll be a front row start at best for the former RDL race winner. Yoglu retiring, calling it a day. It'll be P8 of the grid at best for him. JB's on soft tyres. He's 4/10 down in the first sector. Here comes Dan in the last corner towards the line. Imrie retiring. Towards the flag. Dan improves to P3. Pope down by 1/10.5 right now. Need to big in this last sector to try and nab pole for himself. Last corner. What can Pope do? Can he nab pole for himself? He can't. 1:38.2. PJ starting his last lap. Can he take a second pole position at this circuit? He's down by almost 1/10. JB slowing the car down, stopping, and calling it into a session. The soft tyres were not a gamble worth taking Ben 4 tenths down. Ethan was 3 seconds down this last lap. I think he's going to go for one more here. But JB putting the car over. That's qualifying over him. P6 the best. 30 seconds to go. There is time for Webster to get round and finish his out lap, get his last lap on the way. He's on the soft tyres too. And was that a call worth taking? We'll find out now. I'd imagine not. Look how much he's struggling there. Here we go for it though. The last few seconds, he's going to get a lap in. PJ down by 3 tenths. Down into the last corner. Checker flag has now fallen. Has he got enough? Into the pit lane. And that'll do it for Dan then. So Che in a fairly good position. Can poke himself back in the top 3, maybe on the front row. Quite close with the slide at the last corner. Has he got anything left in the tank? He can't take P3, he stays P4. Oh, there's Ben around across the line. P10 for the McLaren driver. PJ P5, can't repeat his pole time from last season. Ethan towards the line, will improve up to, stays, well no, it doesn't improve then, stays in P9. Websy, 1.6 seconds down. Che coming towards the line to nab pole position. And Che in the pit lane. And now a secure pole for him. Websy the last car through. All in all, the rain has made this a very, very exciting qualifying. And whether we're done with wet conditions just yet, we're not too sure. We may see some more in the race. As Websy comes through then, we'll go through your top 10 before we wrap things off to go to the intermission. So Che takes pole, with Imrie joining him on the front row in second. It'll be Dan third, Pope in fourth, PJ fifth, JB sixth, Websy seventh, Yoglu eighth. As Websy retires, and I now missed the last two in the top 10, but I'll get those in on my screen here. Websy 8th, Ethan, so Yoglu 8th, Ethan 9th, and Ben rounds out your top 10. So that is qualifying. Back with you in a few minutes' time for the start of the race. Well, things have brightened up here in Shanghai for the start of the Chinese Grand Prix, round 5 of the Races Driving League Season 18. Goes the circuit looking much cleaner, and the sun is nice and shiny here for the start of what should be a fantastic 28 laps around the Shanghai International Circuit. There is the circuit itself from the top-down view. Of course, Gaming James not here this week, but the defending winner of this race. Of course, there is the graphic for you, designed as always by our very own JB, who creates these in the style of the 2000 Formula 1 broadcast package. So it should be an entertaining affair as it always is here in China. Of course, wet qualifying means another driver's out of place on the grid, in particular those two RB cars. That could be potentially the biggest stories following this race. We'll see if those two have got what it takes to get their way through the field early on to try and challenge the Haas and Ferrari cars who have been the class of the field so far. But of course, those Saubers, who lost a few places in the championship after Japan, could obviously try and nab some more points as the formation lap gets underway now.
The formation lap gets underway and every driver will be looking to settle in for the race ahead, making sure that their car is ready for the battle once the lights go out.
Both Saubers start on the mediums then. JB and Curtis on the tyres, JB on mediums, Curtis on softs, Cotton's on the mediums, everyone else will start on the hard tyre. Lalon, Grumio, McLaren and Aston Martin cars, but they're both RB drivers to be classified as such in this race.
As the cars make their way back to the starting grid to form up and get ready for lights out, let's hope the race ahead today is a thrilling one that will go down as a memorable Grand Prix in the history books.
So Che will lead them towards the starting grid. Imrie alongside him in second place. And these two drivers we've actually seen share the front row before. But Che looking for a second win of the season. Imrie looking to snap a winless streak that dates back to season 15 Qatar. Since 15, season 16, apologies. Didn't win all of last season. Still looking for his first win already on F124 as the last two cars, Grumio and Lanold, take their spots on the grid. 18 cars, all looking to win today's Chinese Grand Prix. Here come the lights for the 5th race of the season. It's time to bring the action here in Shanghai. Lights out, foot to the floor. We are underway. Good start from Che there. He'll move out to try and cover across Imrie towards that first corner. Imrie falling back under pressure from perhaps going 3 out behind them into that first corner. Dan, Pope, PJ all together. But in front is Che and Imrie sweep back into second place behind him. Dan and Pope side by side as they go through turn 3. And looking towards 4 now. Can Dan pull clear of the house? Yes, he can. Jumping in front only just of the season 11 champion PJ and JB side by side. JB making a mega start here on the inside, looking for position number 5 away from the Sauber through turn 6. And we're keeping it nice and clean here. Grumio up 5 places already. He's up to P14. Sorry, he's up 4 places already. Lano's to P17. I will confirm that. Let's have a look. Grumio up 4 places. Lano only up 1. But the top 7 remain all unchanged here as Che leads Imrie, leads Dan, leads Pope, leads PJ. That's your top 5. JB looking to challenge behind them. Webbsy in P7, Curtis 8th, W 9th. Ethan falling down to 10th at the start, but Curtis has had 3 places. Grumio is having some opening lap here. He's up to P13 now. That is 5 places gained as he charges through turn 13. The reigning champion, the record champion of the series, might go for P12 off from Sesson at 6th in the first lap alone. Towards the inside of the racetrack here, charging towards the hairpin, the right hander, the tightest corner on the circuit. You can see Che, his challenging rival, in the distance, in towards that right hander, close to contact, and then he runs to the back of Ben McLaren, but keeps it under wraps and will take P12 away. And Lano making his own mission up further back, 3 places gained. That's 9 spots between both RB drivers as they make their way up into 12th and 14th. Che leads them. But Imrie still holding on to his tail as they make their way through turns 2 and 3. Curtis is now being challenged by Webb's in position. Those two going side by side, one on hard tyres, one on soft. Oh, Curtis with the slide there. Got a sound on the track as Ethan goes off the circuit. He'll rejoin. Not sure if there's contact there or what, but that brings Grumio up another place. And after almost just under a lap and a half, Grumio is looking at a points paying place being clear Ben. Oh, contact! Around both cars! Ben's out. Grumio off the circuit. A virtual safety car has been deployed, and all the work that Grumio just did out the window, and Ben is out of the Grand Prix already on lap 2. What happened there? Unbelievable stuff there. In the early stages, Grumio fortunate not to pick up any damage on that Aston Martin. But Che and Imrie were the ones who lead the way. Dan still in 3rd, Pope still 4th, PJ 5th, JB in 6th, YT 7th. Obsessed drive-through for speeding under the virtual safety car. I think Ethan's got the same. Yes, they have 2 cars with drive-throughs already in this race for speeding and just being caught out of that delta at the end of the virtual safety car. Green flag goes back in the air. We're back to racing again towards the end of lap number 2. One of 2 DRS zones on the circuit now in play for Imrie. We know that looks to try and swipe the lead out of this last corner and towards turn 1. What can he do? Following in the wake of the Ferraris, he goes towards that first corner. Che defends the inside, Imrie go around the top lane towards turn 1, close to contact. They go side by side. Imrie around the outside, looking at the top spot. Che's got the better line going towards turn 2. But Imrie's on the inside now. He's positioned himself nicely here. He's going to have turn 3 and 4 on the preferred line. Well, on corner exit, Che with the better drive off, so maintain the lead for now. Imrie stays in P2. Top 6 is pulled away here. Curtis leads the remainder of the train. It's Websy, Yoglu and Obsessed Gamer rounding out the top 10. Ethan's made his drive-through. He's back on the racetrack in P17. And Grumio already back up to P13. So not a lot of time lost there for Grumio. He's lost about a lack of progress. He could have been up and perhaps into P9 or P8 by now. But Obsessed Gamer now in the points paying places with Landon hot on his tail in that McLaren. Of course, the game placing both Grumio and Landon into random cars for the fact that they were not here for qualifying, because both drivers are scoring for RB. It's frustrating that the game has chosen to put neither one of them in an RB car to make our lives a little bit easier. But down towards turn 14, Che again defending from Imrie. He's going to slide through and try and take the lead at turn number 14. Yes, there he goes in towards the right-hander. Imrie into the top spot. And close to contact between Dan and Pope there. But it's Imrie who leads now. And JB and PJ keeping pace with those 2 cars. Yellow flag at turn 14. And that is Obsessed Gamer who's gone off. He recovers it. No end plate damage, but he's down to P16 now. EJ making the move on Cottney Goblin. Those 2 going at it side by side. Red and Cottney side by side towards that first corner. Red around the outside of Cottney and taking the place away, but still side by side. It's not over yet. Cottney ran the outside, so we saw Che get the best drive off on the last lap. Yellow flag again in front of them. That's one of the Aston Martins, I believe. Not quite sure what's going on there. Yoglu dropping back. He's got a problem of some kind. He's picked up damage. I think so is Grumio. Have the 2 Astons collided? Neither one of them should be in Astons, but it looks like there's been some kind of coming together somewhere. I'm not entirely sure who with, so we won't point fingers, but both cars now have damage, and that will again put a dent in Grumio's charge. Admittedly, we've seen him run the last few laps of a Grand Prix without a front wing, but of course, very different circuit to this one. So I imagine we may see him make a change unless he's got the pace. Speaking of pace, we may see a good deal of it out of Che here as they run back towards turn 14 here on lap 4, and we'll see if he goes for a move on Imrie. I imagine we'll defend the inside going in towards that corner. Does he get close enough? He's going to go for it. He's looking to the inside. Won't get close enough. Imrie maintains the lead. But if Che can set himself up here for a potential move going out of turn 16 and back towards 1. So now Imrie maintains his advantage. Che closing a little bit. Close to go to the inside in time. Not going to go for it. Websy with the fastest lap into turn 1. 134.8 for that Williams driver. Grumio P9. So clear that damage. The damage he's losing a bit of time here. He's lost a bit to Landlord. Yoglu down Kevin now. It's out of the points paying places. Of course, is a reserve, so can't score points anyway. But now no reserves in the top 10. Of course, there's only 2 reserves in this race. So we've got the first 2 outside of the points. That'll be Yoglu and EJ. EJ one of just now was the only PlayStation driver in qualifying. Now there's 3 of them: himself, Grumio, and Landlord. So Landlord in P8 right now, doing a solid job. He's kept things mostly to himself on the first few laps. His next target in Websy, from there it's a 4-second chase up to JB in P6, who's still keeping with his DRS train. I feel like short for safety car, that's going to be a crucial element in this race today. Falling away a bit here from Landlord, who may end up with he's going to lose DRS to Websy just by a 10th or so. Che reclaims the lead from Imri. Curtis closing on Yoglu. Charge towards the right-hander. Down the inside goes the Alpine. Into the corner. Yoglu knows he's there. Go give him the room. Curtis over the curb. Close to contact. Yoglu able to slightly off the circuit. Side by side. And looks like Yoglu making away the place here. Curtis going into the pit lane. Those soft tyres going off those early on. But what tyres will we go on to? Will we see perhaps onto a set of hard tyres go to the end, or a set of mediums and look at a two-stop? Medium tyres going on. I'm sure he could have used a safety car for that incident between Grumio and Ben. Giving chase here to Imri. Down and watching their teammates do battle in front of them in a minute, and I'm sure wishing they could get slightly more involved themselves. Well, he's got Landlord on his heels now. Just going to be looking for P7. Grumio, meanwhile, still 3.5 seconds back. But Red J 2 seconds behind him, so under no real pressure is the reigning champion for now. But Red J now in the points paying place. Mercedes yet to score this season, so this could be a good sign for Mercedes. Yoglu making the move though. But regardless, of course, as Yoglu can't score, Red J could finish 11th, and provided there's a reserve in the top 10, could still nab the final point. EJ passing 10th Cannon here, those two guys side by side. EJ takes the place, going into turn 16, 10th will back off. I might try a switch back here on corner X, that's what she's doing. Down or on the outside, BJ clearing the Williams and moving up. Red J running outside Yoglu, he likes the outside lane, this Red J, making it work and clearing the Aston Martin. Fantastic move by the Mercedes there. So push Red J up back in the top 10 once again. They lost a few tenths to Grumio obviously in that scuffle. Che now back in control, back in the race lead. That top 6 train staying together right now. That's Websy and Landlord just behind them. I say just behind, we're looking at about 5 seconds. Grumio 11.3 back from the race lead. That's the first we've seen him back in a fair while in terms of mid-race. Of course, he's typically the car in the lead, so big advantages to be taken from this one. Of course, Che, as it stands, obviously outscoring Grumio. So as it stands, Che takes the lead of the Drivers' Championship by 10 points. But of course, I believe he can still take the lead if Imri should pass him for the top spot. But that lead then gets slashed to 3. And of course, from there, if Grumio starts gaining places, then that could be a bad omen for Che. Landlord takes Websy for P7 in the running order. I imagine if Websy loses DRS to Landlord, then Grumio will start to close in a fair bit more. Obviously, in terms of natural pace, Grumio one of the fastest. Cockney Goblin, 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. That's the first penalty. That's the first track limits penalty we've seen all night. Cannon passing Red J, this time on the inside. Red J coming back to the inside there for turns 1 and 2. Into 2, he's there. Tenth will give him the wrong corner exit. Rebels in front by half a car length and gets the better drive off. Move 10th Cannon up into what will be the last points paying place. As it stands, he's losing the place in the championship to PJ. And she may also lose out to Landlord as well. Or at the very least, they may tie on points as it stands. So she's going to need another spot to ensure she remains in what I believe will be P7. But Webbsy also up there too, not to feel like himself. But those two are fighting for what will most likely be perhaps looking at 5th or 6th in the standings right now. Most likely 6th, because Pope is obviously up in front of them. Che a bit wide through 14, Imri going for it. Looking at the outside, can't quite do it for the minute. Stuck in a Ferrari sandwich right now because Dan is right there. But Dan goes wide off of turn 16, that could be Pope's chance. Pope not close enough. On to lap 9 of this race now. Imrie to the outside. Can he do what Reg did? Reg Imrie's former teammate there from a couple seasons ago at Ferrari themselves. Red Machine stays in front. Slide off of turn 3. It's close between these guys. Imrie still snapping at his heels like a hungry dog there, just wanting P1 back. And PJ, as he did last season in this race, keeping up with the race leaders. I'm sure Sauber would like to have both their cars in the points book, with Ethan serving that early driver penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car has put me in a bit of a pickle here. And Landlord, of course, with no DRS to be, no help from a DRS train in the stands, he's technically leading the 2-car train there, Kim Websey, but is really not closing on the cars in front. And Grumio also keeping his distance from Websey. Yogalu sits P10, Reg looking around. Have to make Malik move on 10th cannon towards turn 14. Keep an eye on these guys here. Stuff like Imrie might reclaim the top spot going towards turn 14. He does. Imrie back in front in the lead. Reg closing, but 10th cannon's got to Yogalu first. Down the inside, the Aston Martin towards the right-hander. She takes P10 outright. Reg trying the outside onto the grass there, and in doing that loses a place to EJ. I'm sure not at all the plan there. Che and Imrie going at it between turns 3 and 4. The slide from Che, but he reclaims the lead. And Dan, I think, looking for his chance now. Might go for a move on Imrie. Trying to get Ferrari 1-2. Imrie defends the inside, but Dan squeezes in. Close to contact between the pair of them. They may have touched slightly, of course. These 3 cars, Imrie, Dan and Pope, all came to blows last week in Japan. Of course, why not with Pope almost sliding off the road and ending up finishing off the podium. And Dan's valiant charge. Oh, around goes Dan! Contact! I think Pope lost an end plate there. He's been caught up in that. He has. I think he has. No end plate on that Haas machine on the left side. And that'll be hugely costly. Che has to alter himself in front. Imrie in second place still. Dan in third. Has Dan got damage? Looks like Dan's all okay. But Pope's still fast, making the move on JB, who very briefly held P4. And Peach just trying to pass him too. Down the inside goes Peach, in towards the right-hander. Can he clear JB? Can't do it for a minute. Side by side with the Alpine. JB backs off. And that fighting allowing Landlord, Websey, and ever so slightly Grumio to close in too. It's in the track starting to cloud over here. Are we looking at perhaps some rain? So we're nearing the halfway stage of this race. As of right now, it's been pretty calm in terms of the race in the top 6. It's only really been Imrie and Che trading places, but of course things are now slightly more split up, so that could be a concern for the race, for the car in second place. Dan continues on. Pope is, despite having that lost end plate, is continuing to fight here. Stayed out the pit lane. I imagine he might make that change when he changes tyres. Of course, he'll be one of the ones who pits later on. The majority of drivers starting on hard tyres, so wait till a bit later in the Grand Prix. Maybe perhaps even look at a set of softs if they can go long enough on the white-walled hard tyre. That was a massive incident there. Potentially could have changed the entire race. A gap that was already quite low between Che and Imrie obviously now made it a lot bigger here. Pope there refusing to taper off and let Dan scamper off into the distance of P3. I'll tell you something, and Dan is still in P3 for the minute. Lando back in P7. He and Websy not fading away at the minute as they continue on. Those two still chasing P6 at the minute. And Grumio 6 seconds off these guys. That end play, I think, is definitely, lack of end play is definitely costing him. Look at the lock up there from the champion as he goes into turn 6. And perhaps it's a different car, but he's definitely doesn't seem like himself today. Only 2 points being scored by him right now. And Shane, the optimum position to try and nab his second win of the season and the championship lead with it, as well as helping Ferrari extend their advantage over RB, who are only scoring 6 points to stands compared to Ferrari's 35. The fastest lap still being held by a Websy. 1:34.8 is the time to beat. We'll keep an eye on this TV pod cam because there's every chance you may start seeing raindrops on it. And that'll change the complexity of the race. Websy passing Landlord. Getting clear of the 3-time champ into turn 14. Close to contact between those two, but I think they go away with it. So everyone's split up a little bit here. It's almost about a second. It's around a second and a half between Dan and between Che and Imri right now. Yellow flag, and that's EJ off the circuit. Recovers it. Bit of a run through the gravel there. So Che there, 1.5 is good. Dan's doing third. Pope keeping it within DRS range. PJ right behind these guys, of course. If there's a day to see a Sauber sit on the podium today, could be that day, because PJ has been on it since we got underway in Q1 earlier on today. Of course, Sauber, if those of you who were here for the draw about almost a month ago at this stage, just over a month ago at this point, will remember that Sauber was the team that no one wanted to get, and they've scored 25 points this season, and if not for how close things were out of Japan, those guys are in position to potentially enter a P4 in the Constructors' Championship, which could be more to the best of the rest. But of course, JB scoring big for Alpine, 8 points there. PJ not getting much ground. He'd need, I think he'd need Ethan with him, but of course that drive-through for Ethan really cost him earlier on. So I'm likely to get caught out of the BSC. Red J passing Yogolu, putting him back in the points. 10 and 10 Cannon continuing to squabble over that last point in the order. Yogolu just sort of there in the middle of them, is wanting the place for himself, of course, knows he can't score. I'm sure would love to enter in the top 10. Halfway through this Grand Prix, still a lot of racing to be done. Back to the inside of Red J towards turn 1, P10 back in his favour, but there goes Red J. I think we should look at the inside for a second there, almost went for it, but was just about covered off by the Aston Martin. The other Aston sitting 5 seconds in front of those guys, now 7 seconds back from Websy. Grumio is not his usual self today. I think it has to be said. The right end plate really costing him. You see how many times he's locked up going into turn 6. Courtney Goblin, the first car in the pit lane, onto a set of hard tyres. And I think that could be bad timing because I'm seeing rain starting to fall on the circuit here, on the nose of Obsessed Gamer, and Courtney may have just potentially thrown this one away, putting himself on hard tyres as rain starts to hit the circuit. We're going to get a wet race for the second half of this Grand Prix, by the looks of it. And I'll tell you someone could use that. Imri, of course, his first idea victory was in the wet. What will Che do? Will Che come in? Che stays out. Imri stays out, so not yet, but the rain is there. They know it's there. Is anyone going to take the plunge early on? Nothing yet. Grumio, will he try a gamble here? Try and get himself out faster? Keeps going. So we'll get at least one more lap in here before we imagine we'll look into pit stops. Of course, we saw these guys on the dry tyres going for qualifying laps, so in a way I'm unsurprised. But of course, these tyres considerably more worn And race war, no less. No one coming in. And Courtney Goblin looks like he's good for a little bit longer. Those hard tyres, I think, weren't the right call. Rain's starting to top the circuit. He's going to stay out. If we see the spray start to get kicked up, we'll get an idea here in terms of how long we've got before the change in tyres gets made. Yeah, that top 8 all split up quite nicely here. No one's really got a chance to make a lot of moves. Poke down towards turn 14. I thought he was going to go for a very, very opportunistic dive on Daniel Aaron. He didn't go for it. In comes Imrie. First car to bite. Pulling in what I assume will be a set of intermediate tyres. Goes the end of the race on. And what he does here could influence the remainder of this race. What tyres are there ready? It's Inter's going on. So Imrie, the first one into the pit lane, and gets going again. He will emerge just behind the trio, Yoglu, 10th Cannon and Red J, down in P12. And emerge about 24 seconds off of leader Che. Any time he can get in these soft tyres will be a good time. Sorry, anytime you can get on these intermediate tyres will be a good time to gain. We'll get a sense of it. If he can get any time here, he'll switch to the leader things. So this now puts the Ferraris in a 1-2 as it stands. Podium third, JB4, yellow flag. I'm not sure who that was for, but everyone else will be still going okay. So no concern there. Imrie coming in now right behind the Red J, and I thought what he wants. He doesn't want to be held up by these 3 cars in front of him, but they may be doing just that. Getting stuck behind. Falls to the inside of Red J going into turn 13. Yoglu still leads this train. Imrie on the inside. Oh! Imrie slams into the back of 10th Cannon. And the front wing is gone. And the wheels might have dropped off the Hascars challenge from that. What just happened there? All of a sudden the race may have just fallen apart for Imrie with contact with 10th Cannon. And when it looked like this could have been his day to take advantage, big shunt there out of turn 13. No clue what happened with 10th Cannon there. I'm assuming she may have slid in the wet conditions on those worn hard tyres. But a second pit stop now having to be made for Imrie. And not what we saw coming at all there. So fresh enters going on. A 10-second penalty being served too. 10th Cannon also being administered with her own 10-second penalty. A lot of time being lost there for Imrie. And what could have been his day turned to be potentially be a day he'd want to forget sooner rather than later. Up front, the race continues on here. The top 3 yet to pit. Chase still leading here over Dan and then Pope. Ferrari in position to try and perhaps now to try and nab their second 1-2 finish of the season. The first which came in Bahrain. And the Tifosi have been loving things for these opening 5 rounds of the championship thus far. Dan coming in. Pope will join him, but Chase staying out. What is Chase's plan here? Imrie down to P15. And Tabcam this time moving out of the way. For him, those two sliding around in these intermediate tyres. I don't think that's the intention for this game. For the tyres, rather. Those two now pushing on. Pope making a wing change here. And I think that may potentially really put things in Ferrari's favour. Dan's already out and back on the racetrack, and things have fallen apart for Haas quite quickly here. Hope down to P5, Ingrid dropping out of contention. It's going to be quite a drive to nab points this late on. Curtis will emerge back on the racetrack, either in P10 or P12. Quite close here, but I'm thinking P12. Here come EJ and Yogolu. Yogolu has come in, EJ is not. And Curtis will get just about in front of both of them, only just. That couldn't have been any closer. It appears that Dan is closing a fair bit here on Che, who's gone another extra few laps on those hard tyres. Make him last as long as he can. And he comes now. His first stint during to a close. He's done the same thing in qualifying. What's running into that barrier there? Now, what's the game plan for Ferrari? Will they re-emerge in 1-2? PJ right behind Dan, who's the lead car on track. So look at that change. Nice empty pit lane for him. He is away. It's going to be close here, but I think Che makes Edgic come out in front. There he is. And here come the race leaders on the racetrack. Che narrowly gets back in front. He's lost a fair bit of time here. To my mind, ERS has not been disabled yet. It hasn't. So DRS is still a factor. And Dan wants to try and get around his teammate if he wants to fight for that race lead. And PJ wants to try and get around them both before it gets disabled. Lap 19 of this race. We're now inside the final 10 laps. There's 1-2 for Ferrari then. But PJ threatening them here. JB about 3.7 seconds behind and falling away as it stands. And PJ, they're just out of range for DRS. Dan's got it though, so he's going to stick with his teammate. And those two perhaps looking to follow each other home in formation to take away a 1-2 finish at maximum points in the championship. Grumio in P8 right now. With no reserves in the top 10 as it stands. These will be the points as they go. 10th Cameron as well, who was fighting for that last point. Wasn't in the hunt for the race win today, but was fighting her own battle for that last place in the points. Also finds herself down the order in P17 here. Imri into P13. He's got a good outside chance of nabbing some points in the late stage of this race. He's got to get out to Curtis, who is coming towards turn 14 now. So it's quite a gap to close in. Yeah, remarkable drive of him. We can finish that one off. But a frustrating day, I'm sure, nonetheless, for the Haas team, who, of course, were fantastic in qualifying, especially in the wet conditions. And from there, things have dropped off for them. And that leaves Ferrari as the only team where things have really gone right for them today. P12 now for Emery, quickly gobbling the last car into the pit lane. 10-second penalty for speeding in the pits. That will drop him down the order a fair bit more. Dan just outside the DRS range here, only just. JB and P4 are still doing a fantastic job right now, being closed in on by Pope and Lionel Wenty. But P4 will be fantastic points for Alpine. We're currently sitting P4 in the championship with the constructors, looking to try and solidify that over Williams, Red Bull and Sauber. But of course Sauber scoring big points right themselves. But given that they were 5 points back from Alpine going in, they'll only emerge in P5 as that, unless PJ can nab one more place. That'll be enough for them to take it by 1 point. But saying that, Curtis in P10 there as well. And it's very fortunate that we aren't the bean counters in terms of points after these Grand Prix. Of course, I think that job belongs to the man in P4. Lando challenging Poker. These two have been going after the last few laps. Poker's fallen back to join this battle with these two guys. Because Lando and Webster have been fighting throughout this Grand Prix. It's been a fantastic battle so far. I'm sure Grimio would like them all to hold each other up so he can close in a fair bit more. He's on the. He's got his full wing back, so I think we may start seeing him making some games. But whether he can close in the last 7 laps, the 7.5 laps of this race, remains to be seen. He's also himself though. It's been nice and quiet for him, but I'm sure he'd rather have been in P1 having nice and quiet. Red J P9 on course Mercedes' first points of the season. Curtis in 10th. Already has 14 points in his campaign. They can add one more. But JB will, of course, will gain a number of places here. As it stands, that his tally will go up from 16 to 28. Which may jump him a place or two over Lando, for example. But Lando only gaining 3 less points. Make that 6 less points now. Sorry, 4. I'm looking at the wrong place. My maths are all wrong at this stage. But Lando down to P6 now. Pope's made the pass. DRS still not yet disabled, so continue on as it is right now. Pope with the slide there off of turn 16, but Lando not close to take advantage of that, even with a DRS in play. You just can't get as good a run down towards that first corner as you would in the dry. Look at these guys wrestling their cars on the edge of control here. Almost dirt track-esque. And Webbsy looking for an opportunity on the inside. But of course, the risk you take there in a corner such as that and going for it at that position is the risk of perhaps someone losing control and turning across you, as we saw, well, I assume we saw 10th and Emery a few minutes ago. Speaking of Emery, he's currently 4.5 seconds back from Yoglu, who is in turn 4.5 seconds back from Curtis, who holds that last point that I assume Emery will desire. He's got 7 laps to hunt in and close on that Alpine, scenario mode-esque, almost from F1 2014. Right now it's smooth sailing in these wet conditions for Ferrari, who continue to lead by a fantastic margin. PJ's going to alter himself right now, P3 for him at a minute. He's already in 7th place in the championship. This allows gain on drivers like Pope and 10. This could see him into P5 come the end of this one. So of course potentially could outscore Pope. Of course he's outscoring Pope, but right now 5 points separating those two in terms of the points being administered this race, and 3 points between the championship. So by 2 points that will put in front. PJ to the pit lane here. Late changes. JB's coming in too. And why are these making changes? Are they changing onto wet tyres perhaps? It's a bit late in the race for that, isn't it? They put on new sets of interventions. What's going on here? New sets of interventions going on for both cars. What is the plan? As PJ just given up a potential podium finish, and that now leaves Pope in P3, but Webbsy and Lamont hunting him for the podium place. What was the plan there in terms of making pit stops? Have these two got a trick that we've missed here? Yogolu's into. Again, it's going on. There was no damage to either one of those cars, so there's no need to change things, but that puts Imre up another place. He's now 10 seconds back from Curtis. He's got to close that in the final part of this race. EJ making the pass, and Ethan is in. And these late stops, what is the plan here? And will we see any other leaders come in? If both Ferraris pit, that will of course put Pope in the lead. Webbsy is in DRS range, but DRS got disabled a lap or two ago, so no chance of that here. Top two are staying out here. Pope sliding here, under loss of control. He's splitting two. Which means that Websy and Landlord, they're fighting for what was, I think, P6 earlier on this Grand Prix. Now a fight for a podium place. PJ will emerge. Grumio coming into the pits. PJ to emerge back in P5 again. Grumio 10 seconds for speeding in the pit lane. And that might be costly to him, but of course he was by himself for a good period of this Grand Prix, so I'm not sure if it will actually lose many places, but Inter's going on. And these late changes, I'm still confused as to what's going on here, so why these changes are being made. I feel like these tyres could have definitely gone to the end. Unless there's a lack of grip in the inside I'm not being made aware of. Unless they're burning out quite quickly. But I imagine if that's the case, then these two Ferraris may try and stick on it to the end, run the risk. We've seen them starting around. Perhaps it's just not wet enough to really get the best condition out of these tyres. As a result, might be wearing a bit faster. PJ wasn't too far behind the two leaders here in terms of that gap before they came in. And we haven't seen a drop of spray being getting about this entire race. It's just been a light shower almost. With 4 laps to go, it's still Ferrari's race. Websy and Landlord now fighting for that podium position. And that's the both coming here. Both cars staying out. So continue on. PJ on the fresher inters. Can he close up these guys? He's got 4 laps to close the 10-second gap. It looks unlikely. I'm sure P5 will still be fantastic for the Sauber team though. Grumio now on course potentially to fall out the points. Or at the very least down to P10. Kurz has a penalty of his own of 3 seconds. So if he's within 7 seconds of Grumio, then he may still wind up in the points. But of course, if Imrie catches him, if he can get within 3 seconds himself, then it'll be all over for Curtis and Alpine getting both their cars in the points. Reg still in P9. He's in between these two cars. So still on course for Mercedes' first points of season 18. And that will mean that every team has scored points after just 5 rounds. Just shows you how competitive and how scoring points can be distributed in the RDL. Just because of how close these teams are. It's been fantastic so far. Of course, Grumio's nabbed 3 of the first 4 race victories, but aside from that, it's still been a remarkable showing. I think there's drivers who could have won races here, but had things slip away from them. I think none more so than Imrie today so far. Of course, still not sure what happened. Whether we get 10th Cannon in afterwards to speak to us in the commentary box. Obviously, a regular frequenter of the post-race interviews is 10th Cannon. We'll yet to see Imrie for one. He's told me that we'll get one from him when he wins a race. That's what we're looking forward to. Of course, later the season we'll be reaching 2 seasons without an RDL race victory. Laps to go. It's chain control. They're going to start to come to their own a bit more now. It's the rain a little bit harder. Websy still on course for a podium as it stands, looking to nab the first of the season here for Williams. Curtis now passing Reggie. If those two fight, then that'll be for the Haas and Imrie to close back in, but it looks like Curtis has dispatched for the Mercedes fairly quickly. But of course, if Reggie can stay within that 3-second range, it will still take P9 from this race. And Curtis is posing a bit more on Grumio in order to try and nab P8. Or at the very least keep P9. Grumio finally starting to close on Pope in P7. He's now by himself. JB in P6, PJ P5, and Landlord starting to fall away here from Websy, who could be looking on for that podium. PJ's probably closing that gap. Of course, it was 10 seconds, it's now 6. But has he got enough time? And enough battery in the tank to try and get himself up to Landau, at the very least try and take P4. Chase started at 27. 2 laps to go for the Ferrari driver, as he is on course to take both his second win of the season and a championship lead. He's been clinical so far in the 2 races where Grumio has struggled. Bahrain, of course, saw him retire 21 laps in. Shea went on to take the win. And again, that was also Ferrari 1, so there are many similarities between this race and Bahrain. In the sense that Grumio struggled and Ferrari took full advantage of that. And Shea from pole, looking to take victory number 2 of the season. I think really establishing himself as Grumio's main challenger over the course of this season. As for Dan, that wait for the first race win will continue on a little bit longer. I see no reason why he can't get it this season. Imbri looks to be finishing this race in P11 as it stands, short of going wrong for a car in front of him in these last 2 laps. A frustrating end today, given how quick the Haas team were, winding up with just 4 points in this one, courtesy of Pope. Landau will be scoring 12 for RB as it stands. That would move his tally up to 30. Pope, just 1 behind Pope. I believe it would be P7, so he'll gain a place. But obviously not too sure, because obviously PJ is scoring big points in P10. Sorry, 10 points in P5 rather. We'll figure that out as we come to it. Chase comes through now to start the final lap of this Chinese Grand Prix. It's been a masterful performance from him. He's got 1 more lap to hold on, 1 more tour of the Shanghai International Circuit. Back to turn 1. Last season, Ferrari placed bottom of the Constructors' Championship. And at the start of this season, it's been the complete polar opposite. Che and Dan have been far and away, as a combination of teammates, the class of the field. 118 points from their first 4 races. They're about to add another 43 to that tally here to further increase their lead over RB, who will maintain P2 after Haas, after their shortcomings today. Further back here, Pope has closed on JB and may try and nab that place. And a last ditch gasp move for that place. Grumio there in P8, things have not gone his way today. As his championship rival makes his way into turn 11 for the last time. He goes through turn 6. He's 5 corners behind, as he's been for the majority of this race. So that 3.5 gap to Pope is arguably the closest he's been to a driver all day long since the opening charge, which saw him gain a large number of places. But it hasn't seen him get through to P1. Landau made a valiant drive up to P4. Ferrari have never won a Racers Driving League Championship before, either a drivers or a constructors. This season may just be their time after 5 rounds. This could be potentially the season where they finally mount a full-on title push for both championships. Che rounds the last corner here to take a second win of the season and the lead of the Drivers' World Championship with it. Che comes to the flag and wins here in Shanghai. He takes round 5 of the championship. Dan will come through to make it a 1-2 for the Scuderia. Into turn 16 he comes, and off of it now towards the checker flag for himself. Websy on course to a podium here for Williams to really get themselves off and running to try and take away 4th place in the constructors from Alpine. Landon holds off PJ, narrowly for P5, another fantastic race in China for Sauber. Pope narrowly takes JB, will finish P6, JB P7th. Grumio comes to the flag in 8th. Curtis 23 seconds back from those guys in 9th. With Red J up to the last point by the looks of things. He'll be scoring Mercedes' first point of the season if he can just finish this one off. Curtis now into turn 15 and now 16 to cap off what has been a crazy race here in Shanghai. Curtis towards the line, he'll nab P9 and Red J will score Mercedes' first point of the season with a P10 finish as long as he next towards the line in style. There he goes. Imri, what can you really say that we haven't said already? Frustrating day for Haas. Bins the car line for good measure. Yogalu P12. Obsessed Gamer will come through P13. No doubt happy for his teammate there. A long race to be run. A success over the line. P13 from EJ in his first RDL Grand Prix. As reserve will come through in P14. Not at all about drive. 10th Cannon, I'm sure, would have been in the points today, but that incident costing her at the end. Cockney Goblin P16, and Ethan will nab the last place in the classified order. There is your winner. Che takes the victory, win number 2 of the season, and the lead of the RDL Drivers' Championship. So Grumio sent the message then, catch me if you can, winning 3 races on the trot. Che has turned around and said, fair enough mate, you're on. And there we go, win number 2 of the season for Che. Wins it here in China, 1-2 for Ferrari. Websy nabs the last space on the rostrum. Fantastic Grand Prix all around. We'll see if we can get a chat with some of these guys after what has been a fantastic race in China. And overall, its return to RDL on F1 24 has been nothing short of exciting. The celebrations beginning for those two teams. Fantastic day all around for those guys. Post-race interviews now getting underway. We'll see if who we get through to come in. See who is first one here. And we had a brief arrival there. Not sure who that was. And Pope has returned to the chat. Pope. P7 in the end, mate. Things perhaps going your way in the end there. What happened out there?
I believe it was P6 first of all.
Sorry. You got JB in the last lap. Yes, you did. Yes.
Yeah, and then obviously, I just have to make sure I got the right position.
Right, all right.
But yeah, unfortunately, you know, you do well, and then sometimes luck doesn't really favour you, and I think that's one of those races today where I was the one who probably came out with the most damage out of the incident, and since then there was no chance of ever getting back. But the pace was really good, I think, throughout the race. I was being smart, and then obviously, unfortunately, incidents happen.
Just getting caught up there. So sometimes it's been put in a spot with nowhere to go. But like you say, pace was excellent across the day. Of course, that last lap pass on JB. I'm sorry to say, I don't think I caught it, but if you want to talk us through it in your fantastic way.
To be honest, it was pretty simple. It was just obviously I had so much battery going into that back straight. For some reason, as soon as I got on those new intermediates, I was absolutely rapid. So got a lot of pace on there. Went to the outside of the hairpin, and then just kept throttle down and just used as much battery as possible, and defended, especially because I think JB was going for a switchback as well on that final corner. So yeah, happy with that.
Of course, we had a number of drivers who came into the pits late on for a fresh change of intermediates. And to be fair, I was bamboozled. I mean, do you have any idea why it would have been?
I was one of them, yeah, because the tyres just kept overheating. Some people, I think, risked it, went over 75%. With my luck during the race, I was not risking anything. I just wanted to make sure I came home, get some points, especially because I don't think Imbri scored. I'm not too sure, though. Yeah, so obviously we still are fighting for constructors in a way, so any points matter.
Of course. Last thing, going into Miami next week is the plan to get back on those points, perhaps another spot on the rostrum.
Yeah, definitely. I think podium's more than likely. I mean, I probably should have won there last season, but I made a mistake on my own half, and yeah, I've got a little secret strategy that I like to pull off there.
Oh, okay.
So hopefully, it's very obvious but yeah, no, I'm probably just trying to pull that off and hope for the best. Hopefully the weather's all good.
Fair enough. Well, commiserations on the result at the end now. I assume not what you wanted, but of course, positives to be taken from today's race. We'll move on now to this driver who arrived next. That was Red J, who scored his Mercedes' first points of the season. Red J, congratulations, mate. You've got points on the board for the Mercs. How you feeling?
Yeah, pretty good. Considering qualifying, as far as I was concerned, wasn't great at all. 16th. I wasn't too happy with that, but the race itself, really good. I think it was like setup sacrificed for quali, and then it came good in the race. It was a really fun race as well. You know, of course, I did get a little bit fortunate. I know 10th and Imri are coming together, which looked really weird. I think 10th just lost it going out of onto the back straight, and I don't think anything could have been done. I think the two of them just kind of came together. But selfishly for me, that was fantastic. But I think at the same time, I think to give myself credit as well, I think I drove really well. I like driving around this track. So to obviously get P10, I think going into maybe the final 3 laps, I was in 8th. Grumio went past me. It's pointless battling it out. I think if we would have got 4 points, we might have gone level with McLaren, because I don't think either of them were in this race. Or actually, I think Ben might have been, but he DNF'd, I think, quite early on. So yeah, it's just good to get points on the boards, because I think it might have got to a point of where are the points going to come from. Sometimes the points, you know, your best results and your best races sometimes come for when you least expect it. But you know, I think Obsessed did well in quali again. You know, to get P12, solid performance. Not sure what happened to him in the race, but what I will say is right at the end, going into the final lap, and I'm clock watching, I'm looking at Imri, and he was just taking chunks off me throughout those whole final few laps, and I had 83% on my rear left. So yeah, there were quite a few incidents. We'll see how the penalties work out post race, but yeah, and the Ferrari one too as well, which was really good to see some interesting results. Just looking back there as well, Websy getting a podium. AB as well in 7th, Grumio down in 8th as well. I know obviously he started towards the back, but yeah, very happy with that point today.
I mean, you've done your usual thing of answering all my questions for me. I do ask, in terms of Miami next week, what's the plan there?
Oh, not sure. Not a massive fan of Miami, to be honest. I hate the chicane before you go onto the back straight. Very difficult. I think there's going to be a lot of corner cutting penalties to come from that. So yeah, a lot of practice needs to be done for that, but it will be a home race from a teammate at least. And you know, if we can try again, get into the points in back-to-back races, that would be fantastic, and try and actually, you know, really start getting into a fight with a team. And I think that nearest team at the moment is McLaren. I don't think Red Bull are. I'm not too sure, because 10th has done pretty well so far this season. But at the end of the day, just happy to get points. And if we can keep adding to that and just try and remain competitive, then it'll be great. So I'd take another P10 next week, and I'm sure Obsessed would as well.
So we can really ask for is stay competitive. Well, I mean, congratulations on the points once again. Hopefully we'll see you back in them sooner rather than later. And we'll come now to Websy, who managed to nab. Websy, was it P4 or P5 in the end? Sorry.
P3, thank you.
Do you know what? I was going to say, my memory's completely gone. Do you know what? I don't know how to do after these races. I think I must have some sort of like short-term memory loss in terms of the results, because I don't get on my screen anymore. But yeah, still fantastic podium to cap off this Chinese Grand Prix, and of course aided, I think, by the tyre problem for a few guys in front of you. I mean, was it just a case of managing your tyres to the end or holding off Landlord? Because you guys fought the entire race there.
Yeah, definitely. We was kind of I had a few kind of things going on with Curtis at the beginning, and I kind of lost about 2 or 3 seconds, and then eventually when Curtis's tyres, because he started on softs, they kind of went a little bit more. I kind of overtook him, and then I saw I did actually see Landlord coming up behind me, and he was kind of just catching me, like, I don't know, with a 1/10 of a lap, and then back a bit, and then I made a little bit of a mistake, and then he caught me, and I kind of thought, well, right, okay. I tried to give him the signal that let's kind of work together here and try and get the DRS, and we did start to kind of pull up on the front runners kind of thing, and I know they had a few problems themselves at the front, but then obviously the rain came. I didn't change my setup. I just had a dry setup, and then I presume that maybe a Landlord did as well, because he definitely struggling towards the end kind of thing. I just think that when the rain comes and you've got kind of obviously the tyres on, they're starting to go off. I just think sometimes it is difficult, but also sometimes you just break that little bit more and then you just lose it on a corner, and then you've just lose half a second in the rain, because you can't, all of a sudden your natural thing is then to put your foot down, then you spin your back tyres, and then you can even lose even more time. So I wasn't expecting P3 today. I kind of, through the entire race, I was like P7, and I kept looking at P7 and I'm thinking, God, I can't actually get any better than P7. I was really trying to push. And then obviously, as people actually pity for the next ones, then a couple of people had some issues, and obviously, ended up in P3. I was kind of really chuffed that I kind of kept in front of Landlord at the end. Landlord is just an extreme racer. I was kind of I think I got over a second, and again it's like the devil's things comes out, and the more I could then kind of relax a little bit, and then the more that obviously Landlord was pushing a little bit, so he kind of probably made a few more mistakes than I actually did, because I was in a better position. So that's how the race kind of goes. There's nothing between anyone, if you will. So P3, really, really, really over the moon with that.
And in the case between Red J and Websy, the longest answer, Websy, I'm afraid this week you are the winner, mate. Well done. But yeah, again, like you did Red J, you've answered more or less all my questions there in one go. So Miami next week, what's the outlook?
Well, I won Miami last year, didn't I?
You did, yes,
Miami.
Winner.
So that, I think that was more good luck than good management. I was strong, but I think the two drivers in front of me just literally was battling so hard, and then they kind of took each other off. Not took each other off, but they kind of let me come through, and then there was a penalty that someone got, and then it put me into the first. So it's just one of them tracks, isn't it? It can just go either way, really. I feel as though I'm strong there. I think if people get a decent enough setup for getting around them squiggly bits, and then there's the straights, and that's the thing again. It's just not having the penalties at the end as well, because if there is a safety car, it just kills you.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, I have to see which way top was next week. I mean, congratulations on the podium finish once again. I'll come now to JB, who, of course, in that scrap with Pope in the last lap was beaten. JB, did he take you in the last corner? Was that, or was it at turn 14?
He went round the outside into the hairpin, and then he had the inside for the final corner, and just parked the bus on the apex, and just couldn't get back around him. But it was a good move, so well done to him.
Even so, of course, pace was fantastic today. And of course, it rounds off in another solid points finish for Alpine, which I believe puts you P4 in the constructors. It maintains your P4. So, of course, positives to take from this race today.
Yeah, I'd say so. Definitely my pace was better than I thought it would be. And it was... Practice didn't seem to be going well, and then couldn't get the setup right. But actually, once the race started, and I was able to stay with the front group until the pit stops, definitely showed that the pace is there, because the last few weeks has been a bit disappointing, especially after Bahrain was really good, and then, just fell off. But hopefully this shows I can be a bit quicker for the next few races.
Now, if I may say, I'm pretty sure that last week you said to me this was not going to be one of your stronger tracks. So you've come out here and put on a clinic by comparison to obviously the last few races. So have you been lying to me again in terms of which tracks you're weakest and which tracks you're strongest?
I don't know if I did an interview last week, to be honest, but
where it was, I'm thinking of Australia.
China's a track I'm familiar with, so it just depends whether you're quick or not, because especially on control, it's not easy, and I think that may have been partly why I had to make the extra stop, because tyre wear was ridiculous. But hopefully Miami and I don't know what the track after that is, Imola, I think.
Imola, yes.
Hopefully you can get some good results there and keep up the points tally.
Definitely. Well, I'll see what comes around next week in the Sunshine State. We'll come now to the driver whose home race will be next week. Obsessed, welcome in. Of course, first points on the board for Mercedes and Reggie. P13 for yourself in the end. Good race for you guys today?
Yeah, really proud of Red Jay sticking it out, holding those crucial positions. I was keeping track of him from the back through the the engineer. So really proud of how he did today.
Definitely. Of course, obviously the transition from wet to dry didn't let to catch you out too much. How'd you get on with that?
Well, I was gonna do the two stop because I thought, I don't know, I thought maybe that might work somehow with the rain, but then the rain was gonna come sooner than I thought it was going to, so I just stuck on the hards for basically just a one stop strategy. And then just went on to the inters when everybody else went on to the inters.
Fair enough. One thing I was going to ask, earlier on in the race, I panned to you on stage and we caught you just on the inside grass at turn 14. What happened then there? Was there some kind of coming together?
With who? Who did you say?
I'm not sure who it was, I saw a yellow flag in the hairpin. I came to you and you were just on the grass a bit, so I wasn't sure if there'd been some sort of collision or...
Yeah, nothing too serious. It was just a small collision, but yeah, it was fine. I had to hit for the drive-through anyway, so
Oh yeah,
yeah, just
that was it,
unfortunate
yes.
timing. So
You got caught up by the Delta, yeah?
yeah.
Fair enough. Of course, I'll ask you as I've asked them. Of course, obviously, first of 3 home races for you next week in Miami. Would it be extra sweet to get points next week?
Yeah, that's why I didn't score points today. I wanted to do it on home turf.
Really? Okay. Do you know what? I'm going to hold you to that next week. If you come back in here and you haven't scored points, I'm gonna play that clip back.
Awesome. Can't wait to eat my words.
Well, you never know. This is RDL. I could be the one eating mine in a week's time. You never really know in this league. But
Yeah.
hopefully things run well for you next week. And we'll come now, last of all, just last but certainly not least, to Daniel Aaron, who claimed a second place finish for Ferrari, makes it a second 1-2 of the season. Dan, was the race win on for you today anytime?
No. Che's pace in the wet was just way too strong for me. He pulled out like 9 seconds towards the end. Like unreal drive from him in the wet. If it stayed dry, then there could have been a chance. But yeah, happy with the 1-2. Happy with extending the championship lead. So yeah, good race for us, I think.
Now, of course, there was a break coming together with Pope around sort of the halfway stage of the race just before the pit stops. What happened there? Was this just like a loss of traction, or?
Imri and I were side by side from like the first hairpin, and there was a little bit of contact. I think just a bit of wheel to wheel. Nothing more than a racing incident, in my opinion. Obviously, the stewards will have to look at something, and it just sent me sideways. And unfortunately, Pope had nowhere to go, I believe.
Pope, anything to add? Or?
Sorry.
Yeah, we'll see what the stewards say. Obviously, yeah. I've only seen it from my POV. Dan's only seen it from Dan's POV. So that's yeah. I've got no can't disagree nor agree because I don't know.
Alright, fair enough. I'm not trying to start fights. I'm just asking questions. The media is my job. But obviously, I'll give you another question. Obviously, in terms of Che, Dan, you said you have fantastic pace today. Is this the season perhaps where he challenges Grumio for that World Championship? What do you reckon? As his teammate.
Yeah, absolutely. I think obviously there's, I'm up there fairly regularly at the moment. So I've said before this season that I can be a bit of a pain to the front runners, and hopefully I can help Che and extend. I think he's got the championship lead back after today, so hopefully we can keep him there at the top, and maybe I can sneak into P2 if things go my way as well.
I can confirm, obviously pending steward support, Che has the championship lead over Grumio now, so I think you've been a fantastic thorn in the side of the RBs so far, of course, in terms of the Haas cars as well. Obviously, next week Miami, the hunt for that first RDL win continues on. Could next week be the one?
We'll have to see. Obviously, Miami, I don't feel great, but I also didn't feel great around Saudi Arabia and came out with a P2. So, again, I have to see. I have to put in some practice this week, and hopefully we can come out with another podium. It would be even better if it was a win.
We'll have to wait and see. Well, thank you guys for coming along to the interviews. That'll conclude our interview with you, Dan. And, of course, in terms of a word of the race, because I'm trying to bring that back for the season, anyone got any suggestions at all?
Well,
I always say it, I'm not doing it.
All right, both. All right.
Carnage.
Carnage. I like that. Does everyone agree with that?
Yeah.
That works. Okay, right. Okay, right. So Carnage is the word of the race, ladies and gentlemen. So those who are there still in the chat, make sure to type the word Carnage in there. And if you're watching it post-race, let us know. Type in the comments the word Carnage. And let us know what you think of Pope just not choosing not to get involved with it this week. Damn it, Pope. And
I always do it.
to be fair, yeah. Except when you're not here, then there's often Obsessed has done a few, Reg has done a few. I think JB's hit us with one or two in the past, so... JB, nothing to add?
well, I gave mine where, but you didn't hear me, Zach. I don't think you were too busy talking.
Sorry, I started thinking about it, but I think it cut out a fair bit, and I heard Reg the most.
All right, don't worry.
Okay, right. So with that little blunder from me, we blundered to start, blundered to finish, and that'll cap things off for our coverage of Racers Driving League Season 18 in Round 5, the Chinese Grand Prix. Make sure to get subscribed for more future RDL content. Next week's race coming to you from Miami, the Miami Grand Prix, on the 20th of January 2025 at 7 PM UK time. Same time, same place on the Zach RC channel. Get subscribed for more future F1 content. Have a fantastic evening, and we'll see you at the next race. Goodbye, everyone.